Clippers made the decision to keep a light on, have Kobe's jersey out, and having that decision playing late tonight, being in the town for the first time since the horrible accident. Just your view on the whole five of being in the building.
I think it brings us all back to the tragedy, and that's what happens a lot of times. Life just continues to go on, and then you can't forget about what's the families that are left behind that are going through. That's just absolutely horrific to even think about that, especially with young kids and everything. But obviously, what Kobe has meant to this entire city. You want to honor that. You want your locker room to understand that as well. Everybody deals with it differently, and that's totally fine. But we actually talked about it coming, before the trip. Just to take a few moments to reflect, on your own. I know the staff will, and the veteran players for sure, and everybody else. Like I said, you go through it. Your own way, but it's just horrific thinking about it.
What's your lasting memory, your biggest takeaway from Kobe?
Obviously, I could go on and on and on.
Yeah.
Everybody talks about that one story in 2011 when he shot forever in our building in the arena after the game. But there's so many of us that have those kind of stories behind the scenes, in our practice gym, at our old practice gym, when we were all young staffers that nobody ever knew about. That one was just there for everybody to see, and then now you start to see that. It's a little bit of a trend now that if somebody, shoots poorly, they stay afterwards and have somebody, shag for them. But his work ethic was real. I thought his mentorship was incredible. I told that story about Jimmy Butler when I was an assistant coach. And his competitive spirit was unmatched. I'll never forget that game. My second year here, we have our two biggest competitors on the ball, Udonis Haslem and Dwayne Wade. All we have to do is get a stop, and both of them are trying to deny him and prevent him from getting a shot. And he knocked down a miraculous game winner, and we got back into this very locker room, and as a staff, we were just distraught. And I remember Fizz, my assistant coach at the time, just saying, "Man, we got Kobe Bryant tonight." But he had that flair for those big moments, and the bigger the stage, the higher the competition, the more he would raise his level. But I thought it was really interesting; it raised everybody else's level. Those always felt like big games.
How do you communicate that to your young guys? That competitive fire, that spirit.
Well, we had a meeting, and I think it's something that'll continue. I'm going to continue to tell Kobe Bryant stories, just because I think they're great messages for young players. But we shared some stories, and it's a shame a lot of the young guys, never got a chance to compete against them. You would feel that competitive fire right away. He wouldn't try to make any friends on the court, and that's why I thought he struck that balance of competitive fire and mentorship as well as anybody. He wanted to help young players and new players coming in, and he would offer them guidance. Obviously, he became so well known for that later in his career and after his career, but he did that in his prime. And if that young player got matched up against him in the game, he would be the first one to destroy him. Mm-hmm. So it was a balance where he was able to really compete, to tear your heart out, but then give you a nugget
pat you on the back afterwards,
of encouragement or something where it came across the right way. It was very unique.
Coach, can you talk about Kendrick Nunn, who was inspired by Kobe Bryant? Just talked about how you met him when he was 16 playing for Team USA. Can you talk about the impact he had on the team?
That's a great story. That's a perfect example, and that's what you want. You want to hear more of these kind of stories, and we've heard more and more of them. We knew his reach, but then after hearing some of these stories and when he'd pull players aside or meet up with them could change the trajectory of their thought process for their career, particularly young players. And then how many young players would continue to seek his counsel during the summer, off season? You had to be ready to wake up at 4:45 and do something you've never done before. That work ethic and that drive was real. We all felt it. We all saw it. I have countless stories when I was an assistant coach or just a staffer having to open up the gym, on off days, late at night or early in the morning, because the Lakers had already practiced, but Kobe wanted to come over and get another workout or a workout before practice. Countless stories of doing that.
Hi, Erik. How you doing? It's been reported that you guys have traded for Andre Iguodala. Can you discuss that?
I cannot discuss anything right now. This is all rumor. I'm just here to talk about the game. I'm the coach.
You're a little more than that. Do you have any players who will not play tonight other than what's on your injury report?
Not that I know of. I see you back there, Coach.
Can you relate to a guy like Jimmy Butler? And you mentioned you started as a staffer and video and worked your way up to assistant coach, etc. Can you relate to a guy like Jimmy Butler who just puts in the hard work to get better and better?
It's hard not to. How can anybody not relate to that? And the ones that can't relate to it, I want them to experience Jimmy Butler. Really, because he's a throwback, and he probably has taken a lot of those things that Kobe used to do, waking up early, having a regimented schedule, being very dedicated to the craft and his body and everything to try to get a competitive advantage. That's not for the cameras. It's not for the articles. Jimmy that's how he's wired. Super competitive, and I think Dwayne said it best when people were talking about. There's so much speculation and narratives about us, about him, about everything. Dwayne said his crazy, matches our crazy.
How receptive?
People say we're crazy at times. When we got to know Jimmy, we thought, hey, that's our language.
Can you talk about how
that resonates with us?
How he's able to, his leadership. He's letting the guys really play and be themselves, and with the way they're able to be comfortable.
Well, he came to an environment that matches his values. So his work ethic, his preparation. He came to a place where we value that as well. And then, he's able to express his leadership to our young guys in his own personality. He's just being who he is, and that's who we want him to be. And then the style of play, how he plays, how Jimmy competes at the game of basketball has always been a very giving and sharing game, and that's why the narratives don't match up. They never matched up in my mind to how he actually played the game. His game is playoff stable, it's playoff ready. He's never averaged over 14 field attempts in his career as a max player. But this guy wants other guys to play well. Now he wants you to show up early, put in time, be prepared, be professional, do what you have to do to make sure you give yourself the best chance to win. And that, what everybody should want out of your leader. But we're playing him, effectively at the point guard position. He and Bam, they're both split duties as point guard, and Jimmy facilitates and allows our young guys to grow and become something much different than they were coming out of training camp, and that's an absolute credit to his leadership and his style of play. All right.
Hi, Coach. Could you please say something to the Chinese fans who is suffering from the Korea virus?
I'll say that to you afterwards.
Okay, thank you.